Welcome, listeners. Today, we're thrilled to introduce Crystal Berry, an accomplished author, theologian, counselor, former hospital chaplain, and entrepreneur. She holds a bachelor's degree in theology and master's degrees in both divinity and Christian counseling. As a founding member of CrystalShares Consulting and Crystal Berry Farms, she's an inspiring figure leading the way in both business and personal development. We're here to dive into her latest book, 10 Affirmations for Healing. A warm welcome to you, Crystal.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you. How about yourself?
I will not complain. You know, a lot of people can complain, but I won't.
Okay.
All right. What inspired you to write 10 Affirmations for Healing?
Well, I was actually just, trying to figure out the best way to make the most impact, especially in the lives of the people who probably needed it the most. And because of my past experiences dealing with hurt and pain, I realized this is the first step that you really have to deal with in order to start, becoming a better person and becoming a better you and becoming self-aware.
Yes.
And I've also always wanted to be an author. And so I figured, why not tie the two together? I can help people and I can write my book. And so that's what brought me to the point where I decided to do the 10 Affirmations for Healing.
Okay. How did you personally discover the power of affirmations in your life?
Okay. The first time I discovered it was when I was a teenager. I was going into the foster care system at the age of 15, and I went to a hospital for a checkup because they make us all go to the hospital. And there was this Black female doctor, and she gave me this little book, and I still have it to this day. And the name of the book was The Power of Life and Death Are in the Tongue. And that book helped me at a time when my life was spiraling out of control and I felt like I had no control. And so I took that book and I started reading it. And so that's when I first realized it, although I had been doing it before by praying and reading scriptures and things like that, but I didn't even realize it before.
I see. Could you share one or two specific stories where affirmations played a crucial role in your healing process?
Yes, sure. Okay, the particular story that I'm going to tell is over 20 years ago, but it's one of the most pivotal points in my life that I can remember. It was at a point where I was so low. I didn't want to live. I didn't know my worth. I was so lost. I was still a Marine, but I was lost. I had gotten married to someone, and that person made me question everything about myself. I was being cheated on. I was being put down, verbally abused. And yeah, I didn't understand how I ended up in that position. And so, like I said, I really was ready to give up. And the turning point was when I was sitting at the bus stop. I was getting ready to take my life. I had 2 bottles of pain medicine that I had got after my C-section from having my son. He was 9 months old at the time. And so I was going to take all of those and take my life. And I was sitting there just crying, feeling sorry for myself and, just ready to go, end it all. And something said, okay, go back and tell your son bye. Because I lost my biological mother at the age of 9. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go tell my son bye. Let me tell you, going to tell him bye literally saved my life. Because when I went back to the house, he was screaming and crying. His daddy was hollering at him, like at the top of his lungs, and I just broke down. I was like, if I can't live for myself, I would be a very selfish person not to at least live for my son. I was like, because I would leave him here and, in the hands of somebody when I could actually be here and take care of him.
Yes.
I just had to get it together. And so at that point, that's when I decided I had to live. And so I went back to doing the affirmations, like in that book that the doctor gave me. The power of life and death are in the tongue. I started praying. I started saying affirmations. And I mean, it wasn't like, oh, yes, I can do this. No, I was in the thick of it. I was fighting for my life. I was crying, Lord, I shall live and not die. Your word says it. I mean, I spoke those things over my life and it didn't feel like it, but those words penetrated my spirit and they started giving me a desire to live. And the first thing I had to do was get away.
Yeah.
But I used those scriptures and those affirmations every day.
For strength.
And I walked away with a 9-month-old on my hip, my clothes on my back, and a diaper bag. I left a car, I left the house, I left everything, all of my clothes, shoes, everything. I left it behind. And I went to Chicago and that saved my life.
Wow. That's
Not to mention, I had the beginning of an ulcer because I was in so much distress and pain and emotional turmoil that my body was breaking down even at the young age of 21.
Wow. That's awesome. Man, it takes a lot of strength. That's that strength that's beside yourself strength that not a lot of people are able to do that.
Yeah, I give glory to God and also for giving me the strength and surrounding me with people from my church in Chicago that was like, if he don't want to be with you, leave. You got people. You don't have to stay anywhere you're not wanted. Come home and bring your baby. You're not stuck waiting and having to depend on this man. Come back, leave. And I did.
Okay. How do you create an affirmation that is personally meaningful and effective?
Well, you create your affirmations around what you need at that moment. So, for example, my book is the 10 Affirmations of Healing. So these are affirmations specific to emotional healing and whatever you're going through. So say if you were trying to create abundance, you can create affirmations, say, I am wealthy, I am rich, I was born for abundance, there is more for me, I will have everything that God has in store for me. And you can say stuff like, my father owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. It's just so many things that you can say, but you just have to be specific and intentional and create them and curate them for what you're going through or what you need in your life at that moment.
I'm seeing like speak as if you believe what you're speaking.
Yes, you speak those things that are not as though they were, and that's the word.
How long should someone practice an affirmation before they start to see, changes?
It depends. It's no magical number. It's person to person. And a lot of it has to do with how much do you believe it? Because sometimes we can be saying it and we don't really believe it. And you have to keep saying it and listening and writing them down until you believe what you're saying, until it starts sinking in. And once it starts sinking in, then that's when I believe you start really seeing the changes. Once you open up your mind and your heart to truly believe and receive those affirmations.
Okay, I got you. How can people overcome the skepticism they might have about the power of affirmations?
Well, I'm gonna go back to one of the things that my son used to always tell me. You can't knock it until you try it. You know what does not work, so why don't you try something, give something else a chance? It won't hurt you to do affirmations. It won't take anything away from you to practice affirmations. If anything, you'll benefit from it. So if you honestly give it a chance and open your mind and intentionally practice those affirmations, you can't help but to see change in your life.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a plan right there. In the book, you talk about healing the heart. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, the heart is where we hold so many things, our hopes, our dreams, our hurts, our pains, our trauma. We hold a lot of those things in our heart. And the thing is, it's hard to move forward, almost impossible to move forward if you don't reflect and look at what's in your heart, especially when it comes to those ugly things, those hurtful things, just the things that you have to deal with, that you really need to deal with.
Okay. Is there a wrong way to do affirmations? Like, is there any common mistakes to avoid?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I think it's tailor made. That's the one great thing about affirmations, about journals, things like that, that you can tailor them to yourself. Like, you don't have to use everything in there if it's not for you, but then you can always find the beneficial things. And so you know what you need. And so you have to tailor it to that, because what's for me might not be for the next person, you know? And what works for the next person might not work for me. But if you tailor it to yourself, what you need, then that's the magic.
I got you. What does it mean to you to speak life over yourself, and how does that work?
To speak life over myself is basically to speak positivity, to call out the purpose, to speak to that purpose, to speak to the dreamer, to just speak all the things my heart's desires, to just keep speaking those over myself. That's what it means for me to speak life over myself.
As I open the book here, I see we have the 10 affirmations. We have some pages for writing down goals, and they also have pages for journal entries. How would someone new to affirmations approach, your book?
Okay, I will give 3 ways that a new person or anyone can utilize my book. First, I would say to go through each affirmation one at a time. And you can jump around. If one affirmation is more relevant to what you're going through than the other, then go and focus in on that one. But I recommend that you say these affirmations when you wake up, that you say the affirmations before you go to sleep, that you write them, that you look in the mirror and speak them to yourself, and that you say them until you really, really believe it. And so that's one way. The second way is to use the guided prompts. I provided guided prompts to help lead people along the way. And so when you're doing those, I want to encourage you to not feel like you have to fill that all out right away. Don't feel like you have to rush through it. Take your time, spend some time with those emotions. Label them, feel them, and then you'll be able to heal from them. And so that's a space where a person can just write their process out, they can walk through it. And the last is the journaling. And that part I left blank specifically for people to walk out their process, to just write their healing thoughts, to write their aha moments, to write anything that may be significant to them in that time to help them process and go through that process of healing.
All right. What role does faith play in the effectiveness of affirmations?
Well, first and foremost, faith is everything. You have to believe it. That's one of the whole points of affirmations, to affirm. And when you say it out of your mouth and you're putting it into the atmosphere, then you're hearing it. You're hearing it in your own mind. And then it starts to take root in your beliefs and in your heart. And so if you don't believe it, you can say all day long, I'm a millionaire. But that's not going to make you a millionaire. What will is if you say it and then you put the actions behind it to back it up. And I often say that healing is not a spectator sport. You can't sit back and expect it to just come to you. If you want to get healing, you're going to have to go through that process. You're going to have to put in some work. You're going to have some hard days and some hard nights. But I will tell you what, if you go through those things on the other side, you will thank yourself, because healing is a beautiful place. I'm still walking through my process, but I've never felt this way in life, and I didn't know it was possible. And I'm so thankful that I put in the work to deal with my mess.
And I don't like to sound like an old dude, but we live in this microwave society where everyone wants results in 5 minutes,
overnight.
And this is not something that can just be done overnight, correct?
No, that's why I said the story that I shared was over 20 years ago. Like, it took me years to process that, and it took years of healing. And like I said, I'm still going through healing with some things from my childhood, some things from my past, that they don't necessarily affect me because I am aware and I have been doing self-reflection, but at the same time, I know it's still some stuff there that needs to be dealt with. So anything that's in me, I ask God to help illuminate and shine a light on it so I can go and, get it out, deal with it. I can give it to God, but I can't give it to God if I don't know it's there. I can't get rid of it if I don't know it's there.
True.
So,
True.
And it's not going to happen overnight. Back to what you said, microwave society. It takes time. It's a process. I used to hate when I was in grad school, and one of my counseling professors would say, trust the process. Like, trust the what? Trust the process. You got to go through it. People don't like to hear it, but the truth of the matter is you got to go through it. So you got to trust the process, and don't be mad that it don't happen overnight, because if you don't hang in there, you will mess around and give up your blessing that was right around the corner because you got impatient and didn't stick to it long enough or didn't give it enough time.
Mm-hmm. How does affirmations help in building self-love and self-acceptance?
Because when you keep saying it to yourself, like I said, it starts taking root. And then you finally, even if you start saying it in the beginning and you don't believe it, when you say it so much, your subconscious, your spirit starts to absorb it. And so even when you're not thinking it, it'll just start coming up in you. You'll just feel that. Like, I still have those moments where maybe I might have some self-doubt or something that pop up, and then because I put affirmations in my mind and in my life so much, then it'll come back. It'll be like, oh, I can't do this. Who you think you are? Then that voice will be like, why not you?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath. You are the lender and not the borrower. You are the daughter of the Most High. So you got to combat it. Like, even if I don't feel it, those voices in my mind will come back up saying it in my spirit because I fed it that. So it's your body, you're going to feed yourself things, and then it'll come back up to you when you need it the most.
Mm-hmm. And it seemed like you get more resistance when you start going against what you used to. When you stop trying to be so depressed, or you try to change your mood to a good mood, it's like outside come in and try to affect that. And I heard you say put them labels on it, call it out and go to them affirmations, and you start remembering where you at, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Where you headed, where you trying to go. I see that.
Exactly. And the reflection is so important. You have to stop. Like, I recommend people take inventory of their day. Yeah. Like, check in. What went well today? What did I not like about today? What can I do different tomorrow? And then, if you do that every day, then you'll be able to start your day with goals and be able to set your intentions daily and have something to guide you. And then you could even feel accomplished, I
feel like that's actually a good way to wind down at the end of the day. You go through things of the day that you didn't necessarily care for, and then what did you like on the day? Because every day can't be all bad every day. It's just sometimes we get so caught up in the drama of trauma that we don't ever look over those good things that happen to you.
And that's another powerful thing about affirmations. It's like we say, speak those things that are not as though they were. It's like, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it feels like, but this is what it's going to be. And you keep on, you keep on saying those things. You just can't let it go. You can't give up, even though you might be in the thick of it, Yeah,
and I'm a believer of affirmations. Not always, but it's just something about when you feeling like you want to put your head down and you just say, hey, I am great. I can do this. I don't have no problem with it. I've done this before. It's just you kind of shake that your own hater. It's your own hater shaking your own hater off of you, you know?
Exactly. Like you versus you.
Wow, Crystal, this book is looking at about 100 pages. Like I said, it had the affirmations. It had the guide that you can fill out. It has about like 70 pages of notes where you can journal your progress and whatnot. Where can we find this book at?
Yes, you can find this book at my webpage, CrystalShares.com.
Which we'll have a link in
we'll provide a link, and CrystalShares.com. And you can follow me on any of my social media pages to keep updates, and you can order your book right there.
And that's at CrystalShares across all platforms, correct?
Yes.
Oh, also, that's awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I want to say a special thanks to our guest, Crystal Berry, for sharing her wisdom and insight. She is truly a lovely soul. Man, we most definitely look forward to hearing more and more about Crystal's wisdom and insights. Remember to check out her book, 10 Affirmations for Healing, and join us next time for more enlightening conversations.